it's got to be tough for the kids. And, everybody on this staff, not only are you guys great coaches, but you're very ethical people. By the same token, today you're not doing your job if you don't stay in contact with kids, even if they've committed somewhere else.
Correct.
It's got to be tough for the kids. I mean, how do you draw that line to be respectful of a commitment, but still make it very clear that, this door is still open if you have a change of heart?
Sure. Well, the thing that we do, which I think is great, if a kid calls us and says, Coach, I'm committing to a different school, great, good luck. Don't burn the bridge. The door is still open here. But we don't continue to recruit the kid. We don't continue to communicate with the kid. May call his coach, make sure everything's still in order, what she said it was in order. And but the thing that we do is we leave the kid alone, and he has to call us. He has to contact us, and he has to make sure that he communicates with the school that he's committed to that, hey, I'm going to open it back up for other schools.
And I've heard from some kids who've done just that they liked that. They really appreciated the fact that you made it clear the door was open, but you weren't constantly banging down their door.
Right.
Guys you recruited. Let's start with Chris Brown from Henry Ham. And give us some personality. We've seen the highlights of all these guys. What do they like as people? Chris Brown.
Well, Chris Brown, he's the first thing he is he's a very articulate young man that just he's an extremely bright kid when you talk to him. The thing that I love about Chris Brown is that he hasn't played a lot of football, and he's got his best football ahead of him. And as you watch his highlight video, that's only about half of his senior season because he was out with an injury, a collarbone injury. And his best days of playing football are ahead of him. He's also an awesome track athlete. He's the #1 triple jumper in the country. Our track coaches are salivating to get their hands on him, and he's excited about doing track and football. He lives with his mother. His dad is very involved. They're just great people, a solid home life, and he goes to a fantastic school. And the head coach, Charlie Patterson, is an outstanding coach.
There aren't a lot of guys, even track guys today, that compete in the triple jump. How do the skills involved in the triple jump translate to a football field?
Well, the thing that you see is the explosiveness on the football field when he goes up to catch the ball, or from his stance, the way he gets out of his stance to running his route. He's an extremely explosive kid. He continues to grow. Every time I see him, he's getting taller. He's probably 6'3" right now. Who knows how tall he's going to end up being. And the thing that he does is he's big, he's fast, and he can catch the ball.
Now, a guy that you not only recruited, but you'll be coaching, folks just saw him here on UND.com, Sheldon Day. Is he as engaging every day as he was in our interview?
Sheldon is a fantastic kid. I don't know what his interview, I didn't see his interview, but
he was unbelievable.
He is one of the more special people you're going to meet. He's an outstanding kid. And when you meet his mother, Carol Boyd, you'll know why he's so special. She's a fantastic lady.
It seems that the parents in particular are always really committed, and maybe even sometimes they commit earlier than the kids do to coming to Notre Dame. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that everything that Notre Dame stands for, and the degree that we have here for the education, the coaching staff and how grounded we are and how honest we are with the parents and just the doors that will open up for their sons in the future with a Notre Dame degree.
You also recruited out of Charlotte, North Carolina, a couple of guys. One, Mark Harrell, an offensive tackle. What's Mark like?
Well, Mark, the great thing about Mark is his versatility. In high school, he played tight end. In a couple All-Star games, he played guard. In another All-Star game, he played center. He's played all 5 positions across the front. For one of the All-Star games, he also played offensive tackle. Who knows what position Mark is going to be here at Notre Dame, but the versatility he has, his athleticism, his toughness. He's a profile. Comes from a profile school academically. It's a Charlotte Catholic, outstanding school. He's a great student, and again, a great support system with his mom and dad.
Also from Charlotte, Romeo Okwara, outside linebacker, seems like a very interesting young man.
He is. Okwara is how you pronounce it, and another young Nigerian kid that from Prince Shembo's High School, Audrey Kell in Charlotte. And the thing about Romeo is he's not done growing. He's 6'4" right now, maybe even 6'5", 240 pounds, and he continues to grow. I can remember being in his high school last December with Coach Kelly and his head coach saying, listen, just keep an eye on Romeo. This was a year and a half ago. And, and little did we know how fast he would blossom into such a great player, and he's going to be an awesome player.
Same high school as Prince Shembo. Is there a comfort level there for him because of that as well?
Yeah, when Romeo came on his visit, Prince was his host, and they've built a nice little relationship, and there's probably more kids to come, which is great.
It's always nice when there's a letter coming in right at 7:02. That kind of shows how eager the individual is, and John Turner was that guy today, the first letter coming in. Talk about him.
John Turner comes from another young man from a great family. His parents are awesome people, and he comes from Cathedral High School, which is, if you go on their campus, it's a little mini Notre Dame, and they're very proud of what they do there. It's a Catholic institution as well, and John is just a big, athletic, tough, bright young man that he's fun to be around. You know, he's a very quiet kid, alarmingly quiet at times, and but when he gets on the field, you can see his vocal leadership and his playing leadership.
And they are the Irish as well.
That's
down
right.
there at Cathedral. And I noticed in preparing the bios for this show today, the vast majority of the players that you recruited as a staff not only come from quality programs, winning programs, but programs that either this year or recently have won championships.
Right.
Is that somewhat by design?
Well, I think it just happens that way when you recruit the best of the best. You're recruiting kids from great high schools, great programs, championship coaches. You know, the coaches bleed into the players, and you want guys that emulate their coaches. And you know, a lot of guys, like you've mentioned, are from that program.
One guy who you were not responsible for recruiting for, but I think we should make it clear, we did a big segment on it last year. You have a 4-step process here. So not only does the person who's responsible for that region of the country, with the position coach gets involved, the head coach. I mean, you guys have your hands
Sure.
on everybody that comes in, both
Sure.
individually and your position coach. But Jerron Jones from Rochester, New York, a guy that you're going to be working with. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, I probably spent more time in Rochester than I did in Charlotte. Jerron and I and his family have built a great relationship, and as you said, it's a 4-step process. And Coach Diaco recruited Jerron, but Jerron and I, with him being my position, built a great relationship. And Jerron is just a fantastic young man that, you know, he's a versatile player. He's played inside, he's played outside, he's played offensive tackle, he plays basketball. He's a very athletic, big kid that, you know, he's just an infectious kid to be around. He's a great kid.
How excited are you to be coaching this defensive line in the coming season?
Oh, it's exciting. It's an awesome feeling. And, you know, you watch these kids walk around, and they carry themselves with a swagger. Although they were young last year, we threw them out there, and they had to perform, and they did a great job. They have a lot of improvement to make. But you add Sheldon and Jerron and those guys to the mix, and we just get more depth. And having Sheldon here mid-year for spring ball is only going to add to his growth and the depth at the defensive line. And you know, if they continue to work the way they're working, we're going to be the best defensive line in the country.
And I know last year, I mean, I think you just answered my next question. Last year, one of the huge points of emphasis was improving the trenches, both sides of the football. You
Right.
did that. You've added 2 more defensively. How much closer are you going to be able to get this year to the kind of defense and defensive line play that you envisioned when you first came here?
It should be. We're on track, as you just mentioned. We're on track, and again, the guys are working hard right now, and they're putting in the time. And if they continue to do that, and they continue to develop when we get them in spring practice, then everything points up.
I know it's a busy day. I appreciate the time. There are literally tens of thousands of people on the other end of that camera, because this is a big deal for them too.
Great.
Mike Elston, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Outstanding.